I used to wake up, open my phone, and scroll through other people's lives. New cars, vacations, promotions. Each post made me feel smaller, like I was falling behind in a race I did not even sign up for. My chest tightened every morning. I compared everything, my job, my bank account, even my clothes. It was not jealousy, it was exhaustion. I worked hard, but no matter what I earned, someone always had more. That endless comparison became a trap. I stopped feeling grateful for what I had and started feeling ashamed of what I lacked. That mindset nearly broke me. One evening, after another long day at work, I caught myself scrolling again. I saw a photo of a friend buying a new car. For a second, I smiled. Then I whispered, "Why not me?" That was the moment I realized how toxic my thoughts had become. I had let comparison steal my peace. I closed my phone and looked around my small apartment. It was quiet, warm, and safe. For the first time, I noticed that. I had been so busy chasing other people's goals that I had forgotten to appreciate my own progress. Gratitude hit me like a soft light. That night, I promised myself something simple. I would stop comparing my journey to anyone else's. Instead, I would start comparing myself to who I was yesterday. I decided that from now on, my competition would be with my past, not someone else's highlight reel. The next morning, I started writing down what I was grateful for: my job, my health, my ability to learn. It felt awkward at first, but day by day, it shifted my focus from what I lacked to what I had. Gratitude became my first daily investment. Over time, I realized comparison had distracted me from something deeper: my own financial growth. I had been measuring success by other people's timelines instead of my own. The mindset had made me impulsive with money, always trying to prove something I did not need to prove. So I made a plan to rebuild from within. I set clear goals to save, invest, and learn. I promised myself that every dollar I earned would serve a purpose. I did not need to impress anyone anymore. I just needed to build stability, one small step at a time. I began tracking every expense, even the small ones. Seeing where my money went gave me control. I realized how much I had wasted before, trying to look successful instead of becoming successful. Awareness changed everything. Instead of scrolling through other people's lives, I started studying my own. I read books about personal finance, watched videos about investing, and listened to podcasts about discipline. I was not rich, but for the first time, I felt powerful because I was finally in charge of my direction. I started investing again, slowly but consistently. No risky bets, no chasing trends, just simple, steady steps. I put money into index funds and let time do the work. At first, the numbers barely moved, but I knew patience was my advantage. I reminded myself that slow progress is still progress. Every payday, I paid myself first. Before rent, before bills, before anything else, I sent a small part of my paycheck to my investment account. It felt strange at first, but it became a habit. I was no longer chasing status. I was chasing peace. I stopped comparing how much others earned. Instead, I asked, how much can I learn? That single question changed my entire mindset. I realized that education compounds faster than money. Every new skill I gained became a lifelong dividend. I learned to love my routine. The quiet mornings with coffee and spreadsheets, the satisfaction of checking my goals, it all became addictive. The comparison that once drained me was replaced by purpose. I was not competing anymore. I was growing. Of course, there were temptations. A coworker bought a new car, another went on vacation, and for a moment, I felt that old jealousy return, but I caught myself. I reminded myself that comparison is like a thief. It steals joy and replaces it with anxiety. Instead of asking, why do they have that? I started asking, what habits got them there? That question made me curious instead of bitter. I began to study successful people, not envy them. I learned that most of them had one thing in common: consistency. I realized that real success rarely looks glamorous. It looks like someone reading while others watch TV, saving while others spend, investing quietly while others brag loudly. Success happens in silence long before it shows in public. One of the most freeing lessons I learned was this: money is not a scoreboard. It is a tool. The moment I stopped treating it like a measure of worth, I started using it to build freedom. That shift gave me control over my emotions and my future. Month by month, my small investments grew. Watching them compound was like watching time reward discipline. I learned to love the slow climb. There were no fireworks, no overnight success, just quiet progress built on patience and trust. By the end of that first year, I looked at my account and smiled. I had not compared it to anyone else's. I had only compared it to where I started. That single shift, focusing inward instead of outward, changed not just my finances, but my peace of mind. Once I stopped comparing, I began seeing opportunities instead of competition. I realized there was enough success for everyone. Life stopped feeling like a race and started feeling like a journey. My focus turned from what do they have to what can I create? That small shift made everything lighter. Comparison had made me reactive, but learning made me strategic. I set clear financial goals. build an emergency fund, invest monthly, and increase income through skill. Each goal had a plan, not a wish. Writing those steps gave me a sense of control that no external validation could replace. I learned that building wealth is not about speed, it is about direction. Some people sprint and burn out. I chose to walk, slow, steady, and deliberate. I stopped expecting dramatic change in weeks and started celebrating consistency. It was not glamorous, but it was real. There were days when doubt returned. I wondered if I was doing enough, saving enough, learning fast enough. But then I remembered. The goal was not perfection. It was persistence. Every small win mattered. Every effort added up, even when no one could see it. At work, my mindset began to change everything. Instead of worrying about promotions or others' salaries, I focused on my value. I volunteered for new tasks, built better relationships, and shared ideas. Slowly, I became known as the person who grows, not the person who complains. That mindset carried into my finances. I started seeing every dollar as a worker, each with a job. Some were saving, some were investing, some were learning. My role was to manage them well. The comparison game faded because I finally had my own strategy. When people around me showed off luxury purchases, I smiled genuinely. I was happy for them. Their story was not my story. I had learned that envy adds no value, it only subtracts peace. My time was better spent improving my habits than comparing lifestyles. I began setting no comparison rules for myself. No checking peers' salaries, no judging net worths, no emotional spending after seeing social media. These small boundaries kept me focused. The less noise I let in, the more progress I noticed. Simplicity became my superpower. As months passed, my confidence grew quietly. I no longer needed to prove my worth through possessions. My worth came from my direction, my habits, and my ability to improve. Confidence built from discipline feels different. It lasts longer than applause. Eventually, I realized that financial peace was not a destination. It was a state of mind. The moment I stopped comparing, I started feeling rich. Not because I had everything, but because I finally understood what enough meant. That peace became the best return on investment I ever received. With time, I started teaching others what I had learned. Friends asked how I managed to stay calm about money, and I told them, peace comes from clarity, not comparison. The moment you know your goals, everyone else's noise fades away. Focus turns confusion into confidence. I realized that the richest people are not those who earn the most, but those who need the least. True freedom is not about abundance, it is about control. Once I stopped chasing status, I gained something much greater, peace of mind and the ability to live life on my terms. The more I learned, the more I noticed how much time I had wasted comparing. That time could have been spent reading, learning, improving. Comparison distracts, creation compounds. When you create your own path, progress becomes personal, and no one can take that away from you. I kept a note on my desk that said, stay in your lane. Every time I felt tempted to compare, I looked at it. It reminded me that no two journeys are meant to look alike. We all start with different tools, but what matters is how we use them. My investments kept growing, not because I made more money, but because I made better choices. Each decision was guided by patience, not pressure. I learned that financial success is not built by those who move fast, but by those who move forward with purpose. Looking back, I no longer felt behind anyone. I was exactly where I needed to be. Every setback had shaped my discipline. Every delay had tested my patience. Life is not a race. It is a classroom. The sooner I accepted that, the more peace I found in the process. Today, when I see someone succeed, I feel inspired instead of insecure. Their success does not take away from mine. It proves that growth is possible. The world is not running out of opportunities. It is only waiting for those willing to take responsibility for their journey. My financial life became simple. I earn, I save, I invest, and I learn. There is no rush. Simplicity gave me focus, and focus gave me freedom. I understood that wealth was never about numbers. It was about alignment between my values and my actions. Now I wake up grateful. I no longer start my mornings with comparison, but with clarity. I look in the mirror and see progress, not perfection. The journey that once felt heavy now feels peaceful. I'm not chasing wealth anymore, I'm growing into it. So if you're watching this, stop comparing and start building. Your path is your own, and that is what makes it powerful. Measure progress, not popularity. Measure discipline, not possessions. Because the moment you focus on your own lane, that is when real growth and real freedom begins. If you truly want to make a change, save this video and listen to it again. Let it remind you that small steps build big results. I will be posting more money, mindset, and growth content right here on this channel. So if you enjoyed this one, hit that subscribe button, join our journey, and let's grow together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.